We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Road Runners Unfiltered. It's your host, Darrien Starling here. We got Rice this week. UTSA takes on Rice this weekend. It's going to be a tough one. Rice is a good team. There's loads to talk about as it pertains to this game. I'm going to go through what I'm looking at offensively and defensively after watching some tape over Rice. There's some interesting nuggets that I had there that I think that'll be good to be aware of coming into this game. Also, there was one of the players, I don't even get the guy's name, but he talked about how much that Rice doesn't like UTSA, which I thought was an interesting comment. I actually put him in the thumbnail. I probably should have knew his name, but I put him in the thumbnail. I want to talk about that, and I want to hear from you guys as well to see what you guys think about the game. So make sure you drop your comments in the comment section down here. We'd love to hear what you guys are thinking about this game. And also, if you're new here, if this is your first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button and also leave a like if you get something out of this as well, because we are always trying to grow the community. Now, without further ado, let's jump into the preview. Okay, so I guess I'll start with whenever I watch the tape over Rice, what did I get out of, what did I get from the film, right? I think a couple things. I'll start on the offensive side of the ball here. I think offensively, they're solid, but I didn't see anything that was super special, right? I think that they do some good things well. I like their quarterback. I think he actually may not play, so we just got to see what that looks like. But they do some things well, but it's not anything that UTSA have not faced. But you got to be careful because they're a team that will punish you if you leave yourself exposed to certain things. One of the things that I thought was interesting is they're the second worst rushing team from a yardage standpoint in the conference. And it's not that they're just awful at running the ball, but it's just not the way that they like to move the ball downfield. I don't think they trust the guys up front to really lean on defensive lines. So I think they kind of avoid running the ball a lot. You'll see some of the games if you just go down through some of the stat sheets. They don't have a ton of rush attempts with one particular player. Like their starting running back Dean Connors, against in an SMU game, he only had 7 carries. He had 77 yards, but that kind of shows you what they do. They kind of run the ball with a lot of people as well. So from a rushing standpoint, they don't put up a ton of yardage. They only put up 82 total rushing yards against Tulane. They put up 170 against Tulsa in a game that they completely blew them out, which I thought there were some interesting things to unpack from that. But like they played a team, they lost to UConn earlier this season, and that team was 1-5, I believe, at the time of that victory, and they put up 474 yards on total yards offensively, but only 112 of that was on the ground. So I'm not that worried about their rushing attack, but I will say when they do run the ball, they have a pretty good average at doing so. So just kind of got to be – stats can kind of lie sometimes. So I'm not saying they're a terrible rushing team, but they just elect to do other things. But, like I said, their quarterback, JT Daniels, I believe is his name, he's pretty good. But there is concern that he may not play this weekend, which – I hope the kid is healthy, but that would be good with us because their backup quarterback does not give them the best opportunity to put up points on the board, if I'm just being completely honest. But he's one guy, but the guy that he throws the ball to quite a bit is McCaffrey. I believe his last name is McCaffrey. I think it's Luke McCaffrey. They have a receiver on their team. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. He'll line up in the slot. He'll also line up outside. He can catch really any ball. To me, he's more of a short route type of guy, but to be fair. I mean, that's the type of profile of receiver that I look at him as, but whenever I used to watch him on tape, he catches the ball downfield too, so he's good. I think he's number 5 in receiving yards in the conference. So he's right behind Joshua Cephas in receiving yards. So he's good. He's talented. He can do some good things. I don't think it's anything that our corners have not seen before, but you just got to be careful about guys like him that's not super flashy, but they just do the good work. They can, they make the catches they're supposed to make. They always find a way to be open, even if it's not the cleanest thing. So we just got to make sure he doesn't really hurt us like that, right? Another thing that I brought up there, running back Dean Connors. Got to be careful with him as well, because if you look at him from a rushing standpoint individually, he's not one of the top rushers in the conference, right? But if you look at all-purpose yards, he's number 5 in all-purpose yards in the conference. They like to use him, ironically, they use him like Christian McCaffrey. He is a great pass catcher out the backfield. I think he had a touchdown last week. He did out the backfield. He got him one-on-one with one of the linebackers. He made a move, got wide open, quarterback hit him right over the middle. He scored a touchdown, right? So he is a talented kid, and we're going to have to keep our heads on a swivel and make sure that we are ready for him. But they have a solid, he's a solid weapon that has some success. But yeah, like I said, he's fifth in all-purpose yards. So you just gotta, that's someone that our defense is going to keep their eyes on, before the play starts. If he's lining up out wide, if they're motioning him, in places, you just gotta watch out for that guy, because they like to use him and make sure they get him into space. So just gotta be careful about that one. Let's see. They take advantage. Yeah, and like I said, one of the things you got to watch out for them also, and I'm going to get to some of the chat comments and questions here in a second, but one of the things you got to watch for as well with this team is, dude, they're efficient in the red zone. Let's be very, very clear about that. When they get the ball in the red zone, they get touchdowns. I think right now they are number 2 in the conference for a touchdown score when they enter the red zone. I think they've scored 28 over this over the season so far, and I think number 1 is at like 34, but they're number 2, right? And I think that number 1 team is Memphis. They're number 2. They punch the ball in when they get down there, but sometimes it takes them a while to get down there, and I think our defense will take advantage of that. But yeah, we got to be careful once we get them into the red zone, or once they get into the red zone, because they're pretty good at capitalizing, right? So one of the things they do very well is if they get a turnover from the defense, man, they do a good job at just making you pay, punishing you for that type of stuff, right? Let's look at some of the comments in the chat. My man Mike, what's up, Mike? Good to hear from you. So Coach deserves credit keeping the team hungry and focused during this conference run. Absolutely. Yeah, I think whenever it's hard to explain to folks how difficult it can be to be successful, right? When you have these runs of success, we're coming off of 2 conference titles back to back. It's hard to keep that fire brewing, right? It's hard to do the little things and do the things that, that nobody wants to do, the grunt work. It's hard to continue to keep that up so you can three-peat the next time, right? It's really hard to do that, and especially when you're losing some players, you got some adversity going on, you got injuries going on in the team and those sort of things. It takes a special type of coach to keep people motivated to do that and to make sure they have a system in place that can allow you to scale, that can allow a team to bring in players who are not as experienced, but they can come in and have success as well. And I think Coach Traylor has most certainly done that, and I think we're seeing that this season. This season, our team has not played, in my opinion anyway, and I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same way, but they have not played to the level that we played a couple years ago. And obviously we had different personnel, and those type of things can play a part in some of this, right? But even with that, our team has done enough to go on the run that we're on and to be in the position that we are in right now, which is a very good position. To be quite frank, and we're going to make a run at that conference title, and to be able to do that and to be able to keep ourselves in the fight, keep ourselves motivated, and keep these guys rolling is something to marvel at. I'm telling you, that is not something that every coach can go out and do. So, yeah, I think that's a good call out by you, Mike, on giving coach some props on that. Let's see. Joseph Madrano says this is a trap game. It very well could be. It very well could be. But here's what I'll say. I don't necessarily know if I want to go trap game on this one because I don't think anybody, at least not from what I've seen, I don't think anybody Rice is like flying under the radar. I think, at least from what I'm seeing on Twitter, everybody is very aware of what Rice brings to the table. I've been talking about it on this podcast or show, whatever you want to call it. I've been talking about it's this Rice game. They're a good team, and this is a perfect measure up from the previous week. So we played North Texas, who I think was a good team, and we took care of business there. Although a little rocky, we still took care of business, 37-29. And then as we come into this game, I think this team is a little better than North Texas. So they've played the other top teams in the conference really close. But I do think there's a little bit of an asterisk on some of those games because they were largely getting dominated in those games, and they found a way to claw back. So and it's something I'm going to talk about here in a little bit, but it's going to be important for us to, once we get them down, we need to control the ball and keep our foot on their necks, quite frankly. Joseph says the Rice wide receiver talking is a true freshman also. Is he good? Do we got some stats on him? What's his name? If somebody in the if somebody watching the video, if you guys know his name, please put it in the chat. I like to see what he's about. I like to see what stats this true freshman has been putting up because, yeah, I mean, listen, there's nothing wrong with him saying they don't like UTSA. I mean, we don't like a lot of teams as well, but it's one of those things where Rice is going to regret that he went out and did that because Jeff Traylor and the guys in that locker room are going to use that as fuel to bust their ass on this weekend, right? That's exactly what's going to happen. That's exactly what's going to happen. Okay, Landon Ransom. Yeah, so Landon has, and he'll learn, and because what will happen is once we beat them, everybody's going to be talking about that. At least in the everybody will be talking about that in the short term, right after the game. Yeah, that receiver talked all that. You don't like us, but now what? Now what, right? So, yeah, I think, good for him. Good for him talking his nose. I am finna look up his stats. I'm not trying to clown the kid, though. But I am just curious at what he's done this year. Oh, okay. He has 200. He has 17 catches on 255 yards and 2 touchdowns. He doesn't play very well. I don't know how much he plays, but he's not a key component in their offense, or maybe he is. Who knows? But okay. I mean, listen. He's gonna learn from this quick. He's going to learn from it. Listen, I've learned my lesson with that as well. I have been on both sides of that, saying something in the media and then we go out there and take care of business, but also saying something and we get our asses kicked, and now people are just trolling the shit out of me. Yeah, it's happened to me before 2 years ago. But we'll see. We'll see. Aiden Schwartz says, is JT Daniels playing? I don't know, bro. I don't know. So I'm seeing conflicting reports on Twitter. So I was seeing that he's doubtful. And anytime you're doubtful, you're probably not playing. But then I've seen that Jeff Traylor said he expects him to play. And then I've seen I've seen doubtful from a couple of different outlets, which I don't know how true things are. So we'll just have to see. We'll have to see. Mike says, Sounds like Rice maybe going with their backup QB. Okay, yeah. If they do that, they're in a world of trouble. I'll tell you that much. Seeing that kid play a little bit last week, he's not ready. Doesn't seem ready. So if that does happen, that sucks for Rice. But we should, you know, we should have a good day. Then I'll worry about a trap game, right? Like you said, like Joseph said earlier, trap game. I worry about a trap game if we have their backup QB, and now we're going to expect to go in and beat them, right? So, we'll see. We'll see if that backup QB starts. Luke McCaffrey is the son of NFL player Ed McCaffrey. Ed McCaffrey was so dope, man. I remember playing with him back in the day on the game with the Broncos. What was that? 87. Oh, Ed. Luke McCaffrey, yeah. But listen, he's the brother of Christian McCaffrey from the Niners. No shit. Okay. Yeah, he is he's good. He's good. He's a good receiver. He's a good receiver. Mike says, if we beat Rice, will this bring more attention to UTSA? It seems they're flying under the radar right now in comparison to SMU and Tulane in regards to conference favorites. Now, I don't know how. I'm not very familiar with like how we're viewed in terms of attention right now in the conference. I think anybody'd be crazy to like underestimate us in any way, considering that we're entering the conference off back-to-back conference titles. And I know there were some preseason projections saying that we'd finish 1 or 2 in the conference. So now if we're talking about, well, we've got off to a rocky start this season, and our attention, the attention on us has kind of changed, and we started flying under the radar a little bit because we got off to a 1-3 start. I'd say now with us rattling off, 5 games straight now, I'd say now we should be on everybody's radar again. But yeah, if we beat Rice, that'll make it 6 in a row. Yeah. So by definition, yes, it will bring more attention to the school. But I think people are just going to be like, they just had a tough non-conference. They are who we thought they are. Thought they were one of the best teams in the conference. So we'll see. His name is Landon Ransom. There we go. I think he has a career high reception for a game against USF. Coach Trader stated today that he's expecting to see JT Daniels. Yeah, I think he wants to tell his team that because he knows it's a very different game if JT Daniels do not play. And that would mean that the level of difficulty would decrease if he doesn't play. And he's going to want to keep that team motivated, keep them hungry, keep their heads down. So he's going to say that regardless, even if he knows the guy's not going to play. Says, we are on everybody's radar except for casual fans. We'll one day win over the casual crowd. I just think it's just going to take some time. That is a true comment. Like, I don't know. At some point, we're going to win enough to where we're more household named. And it's rare. It's rare, but I still get a lot of folks who, when I say UTSA and stuff like that, I hate when you say UTSA and they say who? Pisses me off, but we'll get on the casuals fans radar for sure. All right. I think I'm caught up on comments. So I want to talk about their defense. So defensively, here's some of the things that I noticed from watching some tape. They are very vulnerable to quarterbacks that can run the football. If you go and look at you can just go look at some of the highlights that they had. Whenever quarterbacks pull it on a read option, they're just not good at picking it up. They're not good at being assignment sound and making sure guys are, replacing what they need to replace and those sort of things. So quarterbacks can run rampant. They've let quarterbacks scramble for, create bigger plays because of stuff like that. So they're vulnerable against that. It's kind of a double-edged sword for me because so obviously with Frank being a mobile quarterback, that is obviously something that's advantageous to us against this defense. But I actually don't want Frank running at all if I had the choice, because I want him to stay healthy throughout the whole season, because he gives us a chance to hang another banner. But there's going to be opportunity for him to run, and I am almost certain that he's going to run. He ran a little bit too much for my liking last week. He's probably going to run this week, because there's just going to be a lot of opportunities for him to do that, for him to extend plays, for him to pull it on those read options. And I'm almost certain that we'll gash the defense a couple of times from Frank pulling the ball and running it. So that's something that I noticed that was very apparent whenever I watched some of the film, that they just don't cover those running backs, or they don't cover running quarterbacks very well. Also, their secondary is not great in my opinion. They can be leaky, man. That's something that we're going to. I expect Tyke Ogle-Kellogg to score, because they don't defend the deep ball well at all. They don't track the ball in the air very well. And, on play actions, their corners get caught with their eyes in the backfield a lot, and you can just leak right by. So I expect Tyke Ogle-Kellogg to have opportunities to score downfield. I expect, I think two weeks ago we were doing the wheel routes, and we were like pump faking and going over their heads with that. I am almost certain that we're going to try that, and we're probably going to be successful. That's they don't catch a lot of interceptions. I think they're like one of the teams at the bottom in interceptions in the conference. So yeah, their secondary is not great. One other thing too that's really not good is they don't tackle well once the ball is caught. So we'll have a lot of opportunity to catch and run, get yards after the catch. I think that is extremely important for Joshua Cephas, because he's someone who can catch the ball and make some moves after the play or after the catch and find space to score a touchdown or just get extra yards. They don't tackle well, in the secondary, especially the receivers. There's one play I've seen that was in one of their recent games where a guy caught a comeback route and the corner couldn't even make the tackle. He just turned them loose for a touchdown. So this is going to be a game where our receivers should catch the ball and look to run. Catch the ball, secure it, and look to make a move to get more yards, because we will absolutely have chances there to break some of these plays, or break and make some of these plays bigger, because they don't tackle well in open field. They don't defend. Yeah, they give up a lot of yardage. If I'm just being completely honest, I'm going to go look at some of the totals here for you guys. If you look at yardage, they give up the fifth most in the conference through the air. So that's something to take note of. Now, from a rushing standpoint, they're about middle of the pack. And some of the yardage lies just a little bit, in my opinion, because they do operate a little slower than most teams, and their games just tend to be just like some of these games when they go down early, the other team is just running the ball, right? And the game is a little bit slower. That team's getting the first down. So if you just watch the game a little bit, like defensively, they're not all the way there, but to be fair, they've had some solid performances. They've been able to create scoring opportunities for the offense whenever teams are not being sharp and buttoned up. But if you just go down and look at the points they're giving up, they gave up 36 against SMU. They gave up 30 against Tulane. And they beat the crap out of Tulsa, but they gave up 38 to UConn. They did beat East Carolina, but they gave up 42 against South Florida, 41 against Houston, 37 Texas, but Texas should have done that. So they are a defense that will give up some points without a doubt. So, we'll see. But I expect our offense to have quite a bit of success against that defense. Okay. Joseph says, have you seen attendance? I have not. What's going on with attendance? Attendance to our games or Rice's attendance? Let me know. And what should I turn my attention to? Mike says, I agree. I see Frank taking more chances and running more as the season. I'm sure you said as the season goes and his career, UTSA comes in. Yeah, listen, he's too valuable, even if we only have him for a few more games. He has potentially got a bowl game, so that's again. He has, what is it? Possibly we're at his last 4, possibly 5 games of his career. If we, I'm talking about the bowl game, with the bowl game and a potential opportunity at a conference championship. So he's got 5 more games in a UTSA jersey. In his mind, he probably wants to leave it all out there and make sure that he goes out with a bang, and I completely respect that. And look, it makes a lot of sense. However, I would like to see him healthy. I would like to see him healthy 100%. So him taking some risks, taking some of those big hits, man. I know he's a tough guy. He's built himself up to be durable because obviously his career started just injury riddled after injury after injury after injury, and he's built himself up to be a durable player. But I don't want to have to rely on his durability more than we have to, if that makes sense. Let's see. Mike says, what a great position to be in, to have the opportunity to be in New Orleans on Thanksgiving, playing for a shot in the conference championship. Yeah. We're going to win it too. I firmly believe it. Tulane, I'm not scared of Tulane at all. Them being, what are they ranked now? 20 or something like that? 23, 20? I don't know what it is, but listen, I look at that. I look at Tulane, and I'm not overlooking Rice, but I can't help but think about the possibility of us, winning a conference title. But I look at Tulane, and they're not. And I don't want to. I'm gonna knock on wood here because I don't want to jinx us. But they are okay. I'll give them this. They have proven to be good. They've been good at winning close games. But they had a close game to East Carolina, last week, 13-10. Rice 30-28. North Texas 1 touchdown. Memphis 10 points. UAB within 2 touchdowns. So you know what? I'll give them that. They've been good at winning close games, but that's what they've put on tape. That's what we have. In my opinion, I don't know. In my opinion, that is not anything that we should be afraid of just because they have a ranked number by their name. That does nothing for me, if I'm just being completely honest. Let's see. So if there is a 4-way tie, odds are we don't make the championship game. You know what, Joseph? What are the tiebreakers? But how would there be a 4-way tie if we win a head-to-head? If we go undefeated in the conference, how would it be a 4-way tie? I could be missing something, so let me know. But let me look at the conference standings, because a 4-way tie, who would that be with? The 4-way tie would be, so you got, what is it? It would be SMU, us, Tulane, and who? Memphis, maybe? I'm just trying to figure out how it could be a 4-way tie. Let me know. Oh, Pops is here. I believe UTSA will win it easily. I hope so. Joseph said we need to win out. Yeah, I'm expecting that. I'm expecting that we do win out. 100%. We have to. If we want to hang another banner, we have to win out. Dr. Fusion says, hello, Dr. Fusion. I don't think I've seen you on here, so welcome. We do get a bit overconfident on these later games. Last year with El Paso, it was almost a tragedy. Yeah. You know what? We've done this before. Didn't we lose to North Texas at the end of the season last year too? That was just kind of, was it last season? Or maybe that wasn't North Texas. I believe that was 2021, maybe. Was it 2021 at the end of the year? We lost to North Texas pretty soundly, I believe, which just wasn't great. So, yeah, I think it's a good point. We can't take any of these teams for granted 100% because, you know, we can always slip up and screw ourselves and shoot ourselves in the foot. So, I think the North Texas game was 2021 though. But yeah, like, and then the UTEP one last year was almost an issue too. Mike says, I believe we'll win out. I hope so. I'm with you. Let's see. Joseph says 1-1, one head to head. I'm talking with one loss. That's why I said we need to win that. Oh yeah. Gotcha. We're tracking. I'm on the same page with you now. Mike says, I think SMU has to lose a conference game for us to host. Highly unlikely, but there's always a chance. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one, dude. SMU is scary. They put up points, bro. Look at SMU. Yeah, SMU is a team I'm worried about. I'll be honest. I'll worry about them whenever we have to play them. But I tell you this. That SMU Memphis game is going to be interesting. That SMU Memphis game is gonna be just as interesting as us and Tulane. That's gonna be an interesting one. Memphis, they put up a lot of points too. That's the thing. You want to talk about a shootout. You know, SMU always has a game where it looks like a basketball score. Every season they do this, and that's probably going to be the game. That game may go into the 60s, like for real. You just never know with SMU. But, yeah, SMU's a scary team, man, because they score so easily. You just look at some of the, you look at the last run of games they got. Listen to this. Guys, they have scored more than 50 points, 3 times? Jeez Louise. They put up 69 on Prairie View, 69 on Tulsa, 55-0 on Temple. And then you got 36, 31, 34. The only time they hadn't scored 30, they put up 38 on SMU. The only time they hadn't scored 30 was against OU and against TCU. Outside of that, they're scoring 30-plus points, and they have toppled the 50. They've toppled 60 twice and toppled 51. That's crazy. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We just got to keep building and keep doing our thing, and we'll be fine. UTSA, Memphis, Tulane. Dr. Future says maybe not overconfident, but we aren't locked in the later games. No, we're not locked to win on any of these games. The weird one to me, if I had to say we were a lock on any game, it would be South Florida, right? But South Florida just surprises me. And I haven't watched tape on them, but the one thing about South Florida that's a little weird to me is they go get beat up by everybody, but they played Memphis last week, and the score is 50-59. Like, then they beat UConn the week before that, 24-21. So, which is just it's just kind of weird to me. But then, like, they play a Florida Atlantic team, a team that we, didn't really have a lot of trouble with. They lose 56-14, and then against UAB they lose 35-56. They put up 44 on Navy. Like, I don't know. That team is weird. So, like, you just can't even call that a lock. If Memphis is supposed to be as good as they are, and they went in and put up 50 points on them, like, that just means, they are there's probably, and I haven't watched them, so I could be wrong about this, but to me that just signals that they perform, matchups make the game for them. There are some teams that they are just not going to be good against, and there are some teams that they are going to have a lot of success against, right? So, we'll We'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, though. All right. Joe said it would be a one-loss four-way tie. Ugh, we need to win out. Yeah, I don't like our chances in a four-way tie. One head-to-head, two college football playoff rankings. Yeah, I don't like our chances. Let's see. The North Texas game was 2 years ago. Yep, 2021. You're right. Let's see. Yeah, Joseph is given the criteria that will decide the tiebreaker. You got the head-to-head highest ranking in the college football playoff poll, a composite average of selected computer rankings. Yeah, which they're never going to be on our side, ever. Yeah. SMU might drop one to UNT. UNT is due for a win after we got the week shootouts. Yeah, listen, I just think I'm looking at what SMU is putting on paper, and I haven't watched a ton of SMU. I watched a little bit of them this year. Dude, they're good. I don't think UNT is going to beat that team. I'm sorry. I just don't think so. UNT is a good team, and I think, and we talked about this last week, they are better than what their record says they are. But they're not going to do anything with they played Memphis really well, but I can't see them doing much with SMU. Now I know that's a super local game, so those always play a factor into things. There's going to be so many people, at the game that are from the area, so those games can always go either way, but I don't know, dude. SMU's good. Doesn't SMU historically choke late in the season? Yeah, they do. They are known for that, but I am always a firm believer of every season is different. Every team is different. So just because they have historically had troubles closing the doors in the past at the end of the season don't mean they will, but they very well could. We'll just have to see. It would be great. It would be great for us if they started to choke, because if all things go the way expected, we'll be playing them in the conference championship. So, which would be great. And if they choke against us, that would be even better. I'd most certainly love to see that. I'm just trying to think my last few. So I'll go on my. I think I'm caught up with all the comments. As I go to start wrapping up a little bit, I want to close by going and giving you guys what I think we have to do to win the game. Number one, I think we need to start fast against Rice, but I think this is a team that we just need to be disciplined with. What I mean by discipline is we can't turn the ball over. We have to be careful about special teams. They blocked the punt and scored. They blocked the punt and scored last week, right? So all phases of the game, we have to be disciplined. We can't give the ball away and put them into advantageous situations when it's field position. And I don't care who's at quarterback. Especially if this JT Daniels kid is at quarterback. We can't give them the ball in the red zone. As I said before, their red zone offense is really good, and they get touchdowns, bro. They're not kicking a lot of field goals when they get in there. They're almost at 92% in the red zone. So, that's something we have to be weary of. That's something that we just, have to be sharp at. When they may get into the red zone, fine. They may score points, fine. Those people are on scholarship as well. Those coaches are paid, good money as well. So they may have some success, but what we can't do is help them out. We can't throw an interception and they return it all the way back, and put them in the red zone. We can't give away touchdowns on some of these things. So it'll be important for us to play a disciplined game, because what I've seen from SMU or from Rice and how they've stuck in and came back in these games against Tulane and some of the better teams in the conference It's because those teams made mistakes, they capitalized, and they got the ball in the red zone, and they put it in the end zone. That right there has been a recipe for success that they've been able to build upon in some of these games with teams that have more talent than they do. We have, listen, whenever you look at the game or whenever you like look at rosters and stuff like that, we objectively have better players than they do. Let's just be honest about that. We have a more talented roster of individual players. So how teams like that, even the playing field is discipline. It's discipline. It's being smart. It's taking care of the football. It's just the little things. Those teams are sometimes sharper in those areas, and that offsets the talent deficit that they may have, right? So, yeah, we just have to be, a team that is taking care of the ball. I'll go back to this as well, and this is not me trying to be negative, but the reason I bring that up is because we've been a little loosey-goosey with the football, if I'm being honest. Now, Frank, we weren't last week. So we didn't turn the ball over last week, which was great. But you go to the 2 games prior to last week. We threw an interception. You go into the FAU game. We threw 2 interceptions and lost a fumble in that particular game, right? So we've had one game where we've taken care of the ball pretty well, and even the game before that against UAB, we threw a pick. We just can't afford to let this team stick around, right? By giving them opportunities to put points on the board, because their offense is going to stagnate, especially if they don't have JT Daniels at quarterback. So, it's just about being mindful of where we are in our position, and we have to do that. So that's number one. We have to play disciplined football. We need to control the clock. I don't think we do a good job of that. I don't think we've done a good job of that all week or all year. And to me, it kind of shows why we have these games that we are controlling, but they seem to start to unravel and get out of hand. And we kind of get worried at the end of the game, like, oh my God, is this team going to come back on us, right? And it's, to me, we don't do a very good job of protecting the ball, milking the clock, and really dominating time of possession. I know college football is all about high pace and tempo and that type of stuff, but there still needs to be elements into the game to where you clock waste. You try to drain the clock down, because that just puts that tenses up the opposing team. If I'm honest, if they know that they're fighting the clock, right, the opposing team is going to play call different. They're going to be a little bit more aggressive because they need to get chunk yardage. They can't settle for 4 and 5 and 6 yards to get them downfield. They need to take more. They need to get chunks. They want to do chunk plays over 25 yards and things like that. They're going to take more. They're going to take more chances, and those more chances, whenever they throw deep balls and the ball is hanging up in the air like that, if we're in position, those are risky. Those are risky situations, and we a lot of times can capitalize on those and catch interceptions and just things like that. Quarterbacks force whenever they know, like, hey, we're racing against the clock here. We're down 3 scores, and we're kind of at the end of the third quarter. The opposing team is clearly trying to drain the clock on us. That quarterback is going to be thinking in his mind now, you know what? I need to drive this ball down the field more and more and more so we can really get to this end zone so we can get points on the board. That right there is how we need to get teams. And you do that by, once you get a lead, you just lean on a running game. We got 3 great running backs, Rocco, Kavorian Barnes, and Robert Henry. We need to give them a nickname, by the way. We got like a 3-headed monster. That's too simple. We need to get them a nickname. Yeah, somebody in the community, somebody in the chat, let's start drumming up nicknames for them, because to me that they are the nucleus of our offense, in my opinion. We don't always lean on them, but we leaned on them a lot last week, and I think that was great because we needed them to perform well. But I think if we get an opportunity to start fast, let's sit on that lead. Let's sit, um, um, you know, let's just do our thing. Let's just do our thing. Then I think the last thing on the defensive side of the ball that we need to make sure that we take care of is I think that we need to do, how can I put this? I like to see us up front take advantage of a line that doesn't want to that put it like this. If you got a team here that don't like to really run the ball, they like to drop back and pass. In my opinion, the front seven, at some point they can't just continue to be one dimensional, right? Like if our lineman starts pinning their ears back and we get back on that quarterback quite a bit, then now we force that line they're going to have to try to balance something out and say, you know what, we need to run the ball a little bit to try to get behind these guys. I feel like our linemen can win this game in the first quarter. If there's sometimes our defensive line can come in and just dominate an offensive line so bad to where the offense is done. And when I look at their offensive lines, not that I think that they're terrible, but I think they kind of tell you what they're not good at by virtue of the way they play call. And I think we could use that in our advantage. And I think our defensive line and our front seven has an opportunity to really boss the game quickly. It's hard because I'm trying to think of like a perfect way to do that. I have it in my notes, but I'm like, even in my notes, I've scrambled on this, and I'm just like, our front seven has an opportunity to do X, Y, Z. I don't have the recipe to what they need to do, but I think I think they will dominate, and I think that it's going to force Rice to do things that they don't want to do, or play call in a way that they don't want to play call because they can't do anything with our front. So we'll see. Let's see. Let's look at some more of these comments. We got, if Frank doesn't get out of his element, UTSA defense is good enough to help beat Rice. Absolutely. 3 the hard way. I like that. 3 the hard way. That's a good one. LRX said, agreed. Unfortunately, we've always been a team that struggles to finish strong. We always have decent leads throughout all our games, and at the end, the score always gets way too close. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. I've been talking about this all season. We have to be better at sitting on the ball and making sure that we drain clock. We have to. That's a part of football. I understand, and you know what it is. Our head coach is an offensive-minded head coach, and he's an aggressive head coach. And that dude probably wants to put up 50 on everybody, and I respect that in a lot of ways. I can tell you this. I'd bet that he'd rather beat a team 55-21 than 30-12 or something. And like, you look at that and say like, wait, like, what's the issue there? I'm just like, he's okay with giving up some points if that means we score an outrageous amount of points. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. I just think that like we just, in my opinion, have to be a little smarter, or not even smarter. I would just like us to just sit on the ball more and put that type of pressure on the opposing team. I'm telling you, man, it is. First off, it's fun for the defense whenever that happens because it's fun. I'm just thinking back to my experience, bro. Whenever we had, because we would do this, we were like known. We were known for this earlier in the what's name. Whenever we got up on teams back when I was playing, we run the ball. We run the ball a lot. Our offense we'd always snap the ball with 1 second left every single time sometimes to a fault to where it'd be, delay a game. We'd have to use a timeout or something like that. But it's fun on defense whenever offenses are fighting against the clock because that's where all your opportunities to get takeaways come from. And that's how you seal games off and put the dagger and the nail in the coffin on a lot of these guys, a lot of these teams, right? So, yeah, man, I'm hoping that we start to do that a little bit more. I'll tell you this too, and I know I'm going on this particular thing a little bit long here, but it will definitely help against some of these high-powered, high-octane offensive teams that there's a potential chance that we're going to play. Listen, like I said, I haven't watched tape on South Florida, but I can tell you that I've seen them score 50 points a couple times, which is insane to me. So we can't let that team, that's how you stop high-octane offenses as well. You keep them off the field. That's what teams try to do to us. They try to keep our high-octane offense off the field. Well, you can also just mash on non-high-octane offenses also. You keep them off the field. They really can't do anything. And those, in general, those particular teams that don't have these super prolific offenses, it takes them a little bit to get to grow in the game and to start producing offensively. If you're just mashing on them, keeping them on the sideline for a long time so they can't get into a rhythm, dude, it's always going to be beneficial to do that. So, anyway, I'll get off my soapbox about us and our time of possession woes. Let's see. Last comment here from Dr. Fusion. The Hydra for the triple threat. Is that the whole name? That's a long name, bro. The Hydra for the triple threat. What's up, Dr. Fusion? What we doing? Maybe I don't get it. That could be me not getting it. But anyway, I think we're at time. Thank you guys for watching. If you are here and you're new, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it if you guys can drop a like on the video to help the algorithm boost the signal so we can get more people to join the community. And yeah, I am excited for the game this week. And Dr. Fusion just says just the Hydra. The Hydra. Okay. The Hydra. I'm with that. I like that. I like that also. But anyway, yes, I will see you guys on the post-game show. Birds up. See ya.